Hello everyone, today is day 2 of our enlarged self-portrait. Today we're going to add a lot of value to our piece. Hopefully we get to finish it today. And I'll be showing you the steps and how you're going to be able to complete it. So first step, we're going to grab a pencil H and we're going to go across very lightly across our entire piece until we cover every single spot. Why do I want you to do this? Because this will give you the base tone to begin your shading or adding value to your piece. If you add your first shade, you already know what's the lightest you can go, and there's only going dark from that point. Versus if you don't do this, you will never know what's your lightest tone.
Now keep in mind, if you commit a mistake, you will be erasing your mistake and your first layer.
So that's why I try to erase the grid in some of the areas where I know I don't need it, and keep it in areas like my hair, which is going to be my darkest area. So it doesn't really matter if the grid is there or not. So continue the process, try to be as even as you can. If you want to skip your eyes, you go ahead and do that. Just keep in mind that at one point or another, with the dragging of your hand and fingers, you might get some color inside of the eye. So that's okay. Just be aware of it. So whenever you're going to erase at any point, you will also be erasing your first layer. So you will need to go back and replace that. But you will notice that this, instead of being an obstacle, it will end up helping you a lot. Because at this point, you don't have to go back and fill in areas because you already have this first layer, this first color value, and this is just going to ease your life. You can, from this point on, all you have to do is start add tones because you already have your first layer. Try to be as even as you can. Okay, after 5 or 4 minutes of intense shading, coloring in, and the potential destruction of my shoulder, my piece has a base tone to start working on it. Alright, it is not a requirement, but if you want to, you could also go in the opposite direction. So if we started going in this way diagonally, you can also go in the opposite direction, but you don't have to do it all across the piece. You can just do it in the background, just so you can differentiate the background for the rest of the actual face. It's a recommendation. You don't really have to do it. I just like to do it. It's a personal preference. Now that we have everything finished, our first values layer, we're gonna start trying our different ways to create value, as we have hatching, cross hatching, stippling, and scribbling. So I personally am a big fan of scribbling. It's just a whole bunch of scribbles, and cross hatching. Those are the ones that work the best in self-portraits. At least I have found them to be the best ones. So
my hair and eye makeup are the darkest area in my piece.
So I think I will start with a 6B for now. And maybe if I really want to go darker, I might experiment with something different, but I like the 6B. It's my safe dark tone. Okay, and I will just start shading, fill it in. I know this whole area has to be very dark, so I'm gonna add that. I usually recommend to have an extra sheet of paper where you can lean over without actually finger blending or hand blending your piece. I tend to find that very troublesome for myself. I don't like it. I mean, if you don't mind it, that's fine, but I do not like the shading, the unintentional shading that my hand does, or blending. So I like to put a sheet of paper underneath. Now my eyes, unfortunately in this picture, they look very dark. So there's no fun happening on my eyes at this point. So I'm just gonna leave that little speck of light reflecting on my eye and color in the rest, because that's pretty much how it looks in my picture. Whether it's that how eyes look or not, there's nothing I can do. My reference picture just have pitch black eyes, so that's what I'm gonna do. You can modify things, and you don't have to exactly replicate it. That's not the point. For example, I am not able to see my pupil in this picture, but I'm still gonna add it because I think it looks aesthetically pleasing and it looks more realistic to myself. And then there goes the eye. Now I want to change to a lighter shade, maybe an F. I don't know. I'll try and see how I like it. And I want to add this shade inside my eye because my eyes are not pitch white. They're not completely white in this picture. So I want to get that realism on it. And then my makeup right here is very dark, so let's add that feature. There you go. I like how there's like a slight darker shade on the top part of my eye, so I'm gonna add that too. Look at that! That looks so much better than this one already. So we're gonna just continue the same idea all around the rest of the picture. So what you see here, you're gonna replicate, try to replicate, not really replicate it, because otherwise, what's the point? Just make a copy of the picture and call it a day. But try to add the details that most appeal to you. For example, for me, I barely see my eyelashes, but I feel like they are such an important piece to add. And now I want to downgrade. Instead of using a 6B, I'm going to use a 4B for the shading on my eye. And just starting from the line, I'm going to start doing this scribbling technique right here on the top section, on the crease of my eye. See how it already looks so much better? And then it gets really dark in this area. That's when the cross hatching comes in handy. And right here, I have like a darker shade that kind of shapes the way that my nose is in this area. And since we already have the lightest shade we can get, it's only going darker from this point. And now I'm creating my superior eyelid. We call this the eyelid, the space between the eyelid and your eyebrow. I don't know. But this area. And now we're creating this sense of volume. See how it doesn't seem flat no more? Like you can kind of see a curvature going in. How this area is not flat. It has a lot of values going in the same area. And how it comes in and out and it curves. Go ahead and try this technique on your own. For the hair, I like to just do all my coloring in the same pattern. So if you can see the individual lines, at least the individual lines look like hair strands, which helps.
I'm gonna stop the video right there. I have already touched my face, my eyes, my mouth, my hair, and my clothes. For now, that should be enough to show you how to do each section. At the end, I'm gonna be posting a picture of my finished product, and I want you all to do exactly the same. Alright, and I will see you next week. Please don't forget to find some objects so we can do a still life. Gather things that you like. Find something around the house that calls your attention that you might think is gonna be fun to draw. And we'll be talking more about it next week. Have a good day.